All right, guys, the watch list for Wednesday, which would be what, February 25th. Got to throw EYES, my best trade today. Got to throw this back on watch. I showed everybody in the chat room the daily chart here, and near the end of the day, which is always a good time to look and see what the daily chart's going to look like as people get home from work and scan their charts. And this is the biggest volume even over IPO day, so that's pretty impressive. And I told everybody in chat also that I expect this will probably keep running in after hours, and it did. It actually went up to 12. It looks like it's finished out at 1161. So who knows what's going to happen after the gap up? But got a couple nice trades in this one today. It's got to go back and watch. And after that kind of volume in this chart, you want to watch this one really for the whole week going forward. TRUE. Another down day. Had this on bounce watch today. Never got down near 16. I'd love it if it would get down to 16 area first thing in the morning, because that is a good potential setup for a bounce. That's TRUE. So that goes back on bounce watch. ASTI, third day down in a row. I don't know. I don't love the action here with Solars being strong, and the fact that this one, even with Solars being strong and this huge pop a few days ago, you'd think this one would have participated. I never took a trade in it today. It never broke its early high, which is what I was looking for. But it certainly deserves watch. After the gap up, it's at the bottom of a range now. You can see the bottom of the range right there, top of the range. So the potential bounce play tomorrow, but I'm not in love with that one. Fuel, FUEL, 3 red days in a row after the gap down. I'm going to start watching this one for a potential bounce, but that's only with the proper intraday setup. Please don't think I'm looking at this fuel chart and thinking it looks bullish. I'm just looking for setups that I can day trade tomorrow, and this one may be ready to bounce tomorrow. So with a proper setup, we might get a nice trade. RIGL, they had some sort of collaboration with Bristol Myers, had huge volume, 15 million shares on, I guess that would have been Monday, and then today, a little bit more quiet, a lot fewer shares traded. Didn't give me any kind of a trigger. Well, I wasn't even watching it today, but now I do want to watch it tomorrow. These are 5-minute candles, so it put in its high of the day, I don't know, about a half hour in or a little more, and then pulled back, but really kind of held for a long time. So you got decent support now in the 320 area. This one might, make a run back up at these recent highs. We'll see how it acts tomorrow, but it is worth having on watch. GTLS, certainly interesting volume on this pop compared to its average volume, and even though it gave back some of its gains, you can see that topping tail there. Even though it gave back some of its gains, it still closed over a month or more worth of trading. So I do want to watch this one for a secondary move higher. GOGO, was watching this one a couple days ago when it looked like this, and instead it went, kind of sold off quietly, just kind of put in another day of resistance there. But then today closed at its highs. You get the 200-day, and it's above the last few weeks of trading. Looking for a possible breakout to the upside on GOGO. This one falls into the category. I like the chart, but I don't have that recent volume and passion that I look for. So I do think this is a handsome chart over 15, but if you look down here, there's just no recent volume. And that's really what I look for. And I'm trying to, in my trading, I'm trying to avoid little chart breaks like this, but no passion. A lot of times those fail. But we'll see. Maybe some volume will come in tomorrow and we break through 15 and get a nice trade. It doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. CHGG, big breakout today. My charts are really slow tonight. Come on, that's not it. There it is. Big breakout today, almost 10 million shares. I don't really want to be, join a group of people chasing this tomorrow, but this is an example of one when you get this kind of volume compared to its regular volume, and a nice breakout, that this should go on watch, for the upcoming next 4 or 5 sessions. We might get a nice trade in it. And maybe tomorrow, but I generally don't like to trade stuff after the big day like that. It usually takes a few days before you get a nice setup. And then TEX, big volume about a week ago, gap down, and then buyers stepped right up again, and it's kind of flagging, so switch to 15-minute candles here. This one's fairly interesting. over 27.50, could easily move back to that 28, and if you can get through 28, maybe the nice move. So this volume is interesting, and it's flagging below there. So kind of watching that one through 27.50. excuse me, if you want to get a little more surgical, you could say really over today's high could be enough to push it through 27.50. Let's bring that back up. That got buried there. So really over like 27.38, 27.40, that might be enough to get it going. But, you know, that's up to you on how to trade that one. And then I even have DGLY on watch. I think this is a sleeper, a possible sleeper. Let me get these lines off here. Okay, as I said earlier in that little meeting we did when I was talking, bringing up charts earlier, I like to focus on stuff that's had recent volume and passion. Now, you look at this and say, well, there's no, it hasn't been big volume until back here in early December, and I really wouldn't argue that. But this pop back here, which was actually 2.4 million shares, popped up, closed at its lows, and then sold off again today. But this one has nice support right here, and even some decent support right here. Starting to get decent news again. It's very low float, and a lot of shorts. Okay, so this one really could be just a quiet one where you get a nice move, and we could be one of the first groups in with a proper setup. There it is on 15-minute candles. So you had that pop to 14. Today's high was 1265. Kind of did an early flush, and you can maybe kind of picture a trend line here. Well, let's see, this bounce right here, 1220. I mean, if this can get up around 1240-ish, that might be enough to push it through the half and then push it through today's high and get going. But this one has to have news or volume, so I'm not just going to take this unless I get a really clean setup. But it's one of those, when you look at the daily chart, you don't see anything, but when you kind of dig a little closer and zoom in a little bit, you had this really nice pop to 24. You had this pop here to 1328, and it kind of flagged after that, and then you get the gap up. So this one is, it's just, I don't know how to word it. It just looks like one of these days it might rip. And if we get over today's high, which was 1265, you might make a move to 14. If you get above yesterday's high, this one could probably go to 16, because when it moves, it really moves. So keep your eyes on DGLY and kind of keep your eyes on the news wires too, see if there's any news on it. But I think just from this chart, this one actually looks like it's done going down. Great support here at $10 in the $10 area and the 200-day. Again, you had that pop, flagged back down, gapped up again, and might be putting in a higher low here and ready to turn back up. So I like the support below. And I like, when you see these candles, I like the way this thing can move at times. You get those low float squeezes at times. Anyway, that's it. I'll leave it at that, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.